And here's the message of it. It's that amidst tremendous suffering, take heart, because the God that is faithful to judge his people will also ultimately restore those who pray and wait. Take heart, because God will ultimately restore those who pray and wait. Let's start with the first one. We're going to pull this idea apart. Amidst tremendous suffering. Tremendous suffering is what is happening, remember, to Lady Jerusalem. She's the one who's kind of like the voice in the first poem in chapter 1. And she's talking about this siege that has happened to the community. I'm just going to list for you some of the things that are happening in chapter 1 before I read a little bit. She's saying, I was once great among the nations. She's saying, all my friends have dealt treacherously with me. All my adversaries have become my master. The Lord has caused my grief because of the multitude of my transgressions. I've got affliction. I've got homelessness. I am mocked. My enemies see my nakedness. I did not consider my future, and there is no one to comfort me. Verse 18, that's where we're going to pick it up. She says, the Lord is righteous, for I have rebelled against his command. And she begins to wail. Listen, just imagine this is the rant to God. And the rant to everybody else saying, do you see this? Do you see the destruction that has happened to the chosen people's city? She's saying, hear now, all peoples, and behold my pain. My virgins and my young men have gone into captivity. What is she saying there? She's saying, there's no one left to have any babies. We're all just going to die out. They all got carted off to Babylon. We're just going to slowly dissipate and disappear. We're going to get dusted. My priests, my elders perished in the city while they sought food to restore their strength themselves. My leaders are gone. There's no one here to lead us. No one has an idea. No one has any clue how to deliver us of this. See, Lord, for I am in distress. My spirit is greatly troubled. My heart is overturned within me. For I have been very rebellious. In the street, the sword slays. In the house, it's like death. And I want you to hear, because we might have missed it, because it doesn't happen before this. This is the first time it actually happens. In verse 18, the Lord is righteous, for I have rebelled against his command. I have been very rebellious. This is the first time Lady Jerusalem in all these generations is saying, you know what? I deserve this. This is what the prophets were talking about. I kept telling them, no, that could never happen to us. No, that's not how, hey, just shut up, man. Get out of here. We're doing our stuff. This is fine. God is fine with this. This is okay. And now she finally says, she agrees. She agrees with what has happened and says, this was wrong. God was right to do what he's doing. It's the realization that she has caused her own pain, and it is blowing her mind. And she's realizing, it was because I was stubborn. God kept telling us, he kept warning us, and yet I was stubborn. I want to read you some definitions. I wrote down a bunch of definitions of stubbornness. I think it'll help us today. Stubbornness is proud and disobedient resistance to God's will and rejection of his commands. It's being tenaciously unwilling to yield. It's resolute adherence to your own ideas. It's the desire to disregard the overwhelming evidence against you. It's your way or no way. It is an unyielding resistance to learn the lessons that other people are trying to help you learn, and yet you won't learn them. It's determination, which we might say is good, but it's determination taken too far to our own destruction. Aristotle said we need to distinguish between different kinds of stubbornness. There's good stubbornness, which is I'm so stubborn about I'm not going to give myself to evil. And then there's bad stubbornness that no matter what the evidence, no matter what you tell me, I will not admit that I am wrong. Guys, we gotta be very careful when we start to think, well, it can't be me that's wrong. Yikes. If you ever have that thought, it can't be me that's wrong, that means the noose is around your neck right now. It can always be you that's wrong. The doy, it can always be you that's wrong. It's a stubborn, prideful heart that would ever dare to think that I can't be wrong. Have you met you? Of course you can be wrong. Think about all your worst decisions in life. That was you being wrong, and you didn't think about it then, and so you can be wrong again. We all got these issues, man. Here's one little caution. Sometimes we can be thinking about our own lives like this, like, man, God, I'm kind of like Lady Jerusalem. Like I was stubborn and I ignored all the signs, and that's why I'm in some of this pain. And then we can look at somebody else's life and we can want to point it out to them. Well, I know what's wrong with you. You're rebellious and stubborn, and that's why you're in all this hardship. And my friends, that's a dumb way to be a friend. Because the truth is, the Bible teaches we can't know that about somebody else. We can have the gift of revelation given to ourselves. But think about Job's friends. They come around, they're giving him all this advice about how much he jacks stuff up. And really all they were supposed to do was just sit there and be with him and say, man, people suffer, and I don't always know why people suffer. And that's true. Not all of our suffering is because God is disciplining us in some way, like directly. Sometimes it's just because we're in the vicinity of other sinners and their sin hurts us. Amidst tremendous suffering, which is what is happening, the God who is faithful to judge his people